phone. I didn't pay $10 for you to be so. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dragons Fan Guide podcast with episode 5 already with special guest Nick from Australia. If you'd like to introduce yourself, mate, to the podcast.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me on Dragons Fan Guy. As a few people would know, my name is Nick from Australia. I am a rugby league YouTuber. I run a YouTube channel called Nick from Australia, and it's got over almost 2,500 subscribers. And mate, it's good to be on here with you. And yeah, thanks for having me on tonight, bro.
We've already met each other. We've been on other shows together. This is the first time I've had Nick on my show. So it's a pleasure to have you on. It's just a bit of a general footy talk. So what's your opinion on the whole thing with Brooks?
Luke Brooks. Well, he's just signed a deal with Manly, hasn't he? So that's interesting. 4 years to Manly. I don't know if it's going to work out. It's going to be interesting. He's going to play 5'8" alongside Cherry Evans. But I don't know. I'm not the biggest Luke Brooks fan, so I think it might be a bit of a flop. But Manly are taking a risk.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it's really going to work out. I think he needed to get out of the Tigers, but I don't think Manly are the place for him, personally.
What team do you think he would have suited more?
Probably going over to Castleford, maybe.
Oh, over the UK?
I would have sent him over to the UK, personally.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think he's a great signing, and I don't know why 4 years. I think it's a little bit too long.
Yeah.
I would have personally signed him for 1 year with the option of 2 and see how his first season goes before I'd add that many extra years to it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Well, we know Pro Enzo's not happy about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking poor Pro Enzo.
Yeah, they've made some weird signings. Like I think Jackson Paulo, he's okay, but he's not great.
I think he'd be okay for Manly. I just wonder what their plan is because I got Saab, I got Garrick, I got Tupulotu, I got that Vega fella. They've got 4 guys there on the wing, unless they're going to go Garrick in the centres and with Quola and that move on, Morgan Harper or Brad Parker. So they've got some options there, but I reckon they might let go of Morgan Harper so they can bring in Jackson Paulo.
Thanks everybody for joining. CJ Moxley, Pro Enzo Vids, and Nathan Moore. Thank you for joining us. And hello, boys. I don't know. I think Tommy Talau, it's not a bad signing as well, but I don't know where they kind of fit in. I think I like their centres currently. I don't like Harper. I'm not a fan of Harper at Manly.
I like the other centre they got there, Brad Parker. I used to shit on Brad Parker, but I think he's a great defender. So I think him and Quola are a very good combination.
Yeah, I'd keep them, but we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know with all the same management because I think how many of them at Manly now they're on the same manager or something. I don't know how that's gonna play out with Moses because I'm not a huge fan of Isaac Moses.
No, don't even get into him. Good Lord.
I don't know why. I think he manages both of the coaches and then like 6 or 7 players at Manly. Like I don't understand how the NRL will let a player manage a coach as well. I'm not a fan of that.
I should tell you as well. I'm pretty sure you're echoing.
Am I?
Yeah, I think you are.
I'll see if I can fix something up. That might be a bit better.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll continue. It should be fine.
Yeah. I'm going through the stage of new phone. This is just one of these temporary cheap things from Kmart. So yeah, terrible way to waste my $40, but I could have been having a few nice kebabs, but I've got to go with this for the moment. So, I also wanted to talk about your thing with the contracts. Now,
Yeah.
dib into Ben Hunt directly, but I think the NRL needs to step in with these contracts about players leaving early, because I think it's ridiculous how it's got to this stage now. Like, a contract doesn't mean anything really now. It's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you this, bro. So what I know, so I've noticed this. This has been going on for a long time now. Someone signs a contract, they never finish honoring their contract. They always let go. If there's 2 years left, they'll leave after 1 year, or if someone signs a 4-year deal, they'll leave after, the first year, or maybe even the second or third. And so no one ever honors their contract anymore, which is really annoying. But with the Ben Hunt stuff, not to get into it too much because I think everyone's sick of talking about it. From what I understand, Dragons fan guy, Ben Hunt, he didn't want to release it right now. That was just the media bringing up a fake agenda, as they always like to do. But from what I do know, I believe Ben Hunt wants to leave at the end of this season and move on. Yes, I know he's leaving his contract early, which is ridiculous, and we all know contracts don't mean anything. But I don't think he wants to leave right now. Apparently, he wants to leave at the end of the season. So, if he wants to leave at the end of the year, just let him go. The Dragons will have all the money in the world to buy someone else, but they'll have $1 million in that cap. So,
I'm happy to.
Just let him go at the end of the year. Let him go after the season's over.
Yeah, I'm honestly happy to see him go. I really don't want players at the club who don't want to be there. And it'll free up a lot of money. Even if we don't buy another halfback, it will free up money to buy maybe a young up-and-coming prop or something. But we've got juniors that are really keen for an NRL jersey that want to play for the Dragons, who I think we should prioritise personally.
Well, see, in my opinion, Dragons fan guy, your future spine is Sloan, Amone, Sullivan, and Jacob Little. I think with Shane Flanagan coming in there next season, he will develop the guys in the halves, Amone and Sullivan. Yes, they probably won't be a finals team, but the development will be there. The improvement will be there. And I know you're going to have a bit of money to play with. What I'll be doing if I was the Dragons, I know they've got some good young forwards coming through, like the Catchman brothers and whatnot, but I would be going out and buying a big name prop. Like if I was the Dragons, I'd be looking at guys like, Christian Welsh, Moses Leota, guys like Moe Fodawaker, guys like, all these sort of players, all these sort of forwards. So that's what I think the Dragons should look at anyway.
I agree. I agree with that. I think I would consider a couple of players in my mind personally. I'd consider one of the Saifiti brothers would be a handy picker, even if we only get one of them. Or I would consider Sam Cassiano from Warrington.
Oh, big Sam Cassiano.
I think he wouldn't be bad. He wouldn't be bad. But, yeah, I think we could use our money better and stop buying players that only have 1 year left on their playing career. And
like Aaron Woods, Josh Maguire, all the old guys,
Yeah, it's useless. I mean, Maguire for us was useless. I thought he was a nice enough guy, but in some ways, we just got to change the recruitment and lots of things. Like, I realise that it's not going to be the Dragons not going to be top 8 probably next year. It's going to take time, and I just hope this time that the club has their full faith in Flanagan, and it's not going to turn into another Griffin situation halfway through the contract. The clubs doesn't have their belief in him, and that, because we're sick of that. We've gone through too many coaches, and
you've gone through too many rebuilds. So Shane Flanagan signed. How many years did he sign on for? Was it 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
I reckon the first 2 years should be all about developing and improving. Because you look at the Dragons, best 1 to 17. I don't think it's a terrible team. I think they've got a lot of talent there. They've got a
Yeah,
lot of youth. I think they've got a little bit of good experience as well. But they shouldn't be coming bottom 4, and they probably shouldn't even be top 8. The Dragons, for me, right now, with what their squad looks like, they should be a team around 12th on the ladder. They should be around mid-table. They
yeah.
shouldn't be. They shouldn't be last. They shouldn't be that low.
No, I hope if we can at least finish around 13 and 14 this year is where now I've given my prediction now. I think the roster does need to change in some areas.
I think the Dragons' goal for the rest of the season would be to try and avoid the wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Not finish last. And with all due respect to a couple other teams, the Dragons and Tigers are probably the wooden spoon. Even the Bulldogs could still come last. So
I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that.
Newcastle could even come last, but I don't think they will. But it's probably between Dragons, Tigers, Dogs for the spoon.
I'd love it to be Dogs. I'd absolutely love that. Love to see the face on Fugu. Love to see that.
You hate the Bulldogs, eh?
Yep.
Fair enough.
Grew up with all the Bulldog supporters on at me all the damn time. But no, I hope we can change. And one thing I would love, hopefully Flanagan does, is piss off Moses Mbai. He can piss off.
You know what? As much as people give Moses Mbai shit, he's a very good utility. He can play literally any position. So I don't think he'll stay. I think he'll be moved on. But he's got some value about him, Moses Mbai. He can play anywhere in the back line. Fullback, center, he does a job. He can play in the half. He can play dummy half. I think he's pretty hopeless at dummy half, but he can play anywhere. And I think he's a good utility. But yeah, I think the Dragons will move him on. What about Jack Bird? You think Dragons will keep Jack Bird? I know Shane Flanagan got the best out of Jack Bird in 2016 when he won the comp and whatnot, but seems like he was getting injured, poor old Jack Bird.
Yeah, well, I don't think his time at the Dragons this year has been great. I'd love to keep him though. I don't think we'd let him go.
Yeah,
I think he's signed, was it 2 more years? I just hope he can get through a year without injury because I don't think we've seen the best of him yet since he's joined us with injury and bits.
We haven't seen the best of Jack Bird for probably about 5 years. But he's had ever since that he's had injuries. Because if you remember, when he left Cronulla, he went up to Brisbane, did his ACL, and then I think he did his Achilles the next season. So that put him out 2 years. Yeah. And he went to the Dragons, and he has had some good moments at the Dragons. He's had some big games, but injuries is the only thing that's bloody letting him down.
Well, I hope Flanagan again can do some work with him because I like Flanagan. Yeah. I think Flanagan's is a good signing for us. I think he's one of the coaches that needs to prove himself, and we're a club that needs to prove ourselves. And I think he personally is the man for the job.
Yeah, 100%.
I just hope that it doesn't turn into another Anthony Griffin situation in 2 years' time.
If the Dragons are still struggling in 2 years, you don't sack him. I think you're just going to give him one.
Yeah, that's what we need. It'd be upsetting again. I mean, we don't need to consider a new coach for quite a long time, and he's going to need time.
Think about this. Dragons haven't played finals since 2018. This is going to be the 5th year they haven't made it. And you're giving Flanagan 3 years. I guarantee you in that 3 years, he'll get the Dragons in the finals. It's just going to take time.
It's just going to take time. It's a different situation than other clubs, such as the Warriors. They've done it quickly, but they're a different club to us. You know, it's going to take time.
Have a look at us. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. 4 years in a row, the Cowboys were garbage. Bottom 4 material. And then 2022, we go out and buy a halfback in Chad Townsend, who we all sort of questioned, and then all of our young kids, they all just stood up and went insane, and we all saw Cowboys were top 4 last year, and that stuff started a bit slow this year, but they're starting to get going now. So all it takes is 1 or 2 signings, and if it works, it bloody works pretty well.
I actually wouldn't mind us trying to go after Connor Watson, to be honest. If he can stay injury free, I wouldn't mind a purchase of someone like Connor Watson.
The Roosters are going to let him go, I believe. So wouldn't be a bad option. He's a good player. When he's
I wouldn't mind him. He's experienced. Trying to think who else would be a good one.
I think his best position is lock.
Yeah.
Move Jack de Belin in the front row.
I prefer Jack de Belin in the front row personally.
I was gonna ask you this actually while we're on the Dragons. With Ben Hunt obviously probably going to move on at the end of the season, who do you think should be the next captain of the Dragons? Me personally, I think Jack de Belin is the man for the job.
I would consider doing co-captains between Blake Lawrie and Jack de Belin personally.
Yeah, okay.
I think either one of those guys are very passionate and very good leaders. I would more go Jack de Belin, but Blake Lawrie would be another good option.
I think maybe give de Belin the full captaincy and give like Lawrie the vice captain or something. Whatever.
Yeah. Who do you think? Do you think the Cowboys need to sign any more players for next year?
The Cowboys. Well, it's an interesting one because it's a very similar team to what we had last year, but we've got a lot of good young forwards coming through, like that young fellow who had a huge game on the weekend against Souths, Fini Fuiaki. He's
really good. I like him. I like
him. Absolute gun. Maybe in another front row, or if McLean moves on, or if Tanua Brown, but I don't know, bro. Like it's a weird one with us because we got so many back rowers who can play in the middle as well. Like Leilua can play in the front row if need be, and Helam Lukey comes through the middle a little bit as well, along with that Fini Fuiaki. Personally, we got Peter Hiku moving on at the end of the year. He's heading over to Holt KR, and I'd like to see Sammy Volomate go to the centres and Kyle Felt back on the wing. But
it's a bit. I find it a bit odd that he's not picked.
I
know Valomate's going good, but I'd pick Felt personally.
I think Hiku's just there because it's his last year at the Cowboys, and he'd probably retire in the UK. Look, I know it's easy to go out on the market and buy a centre because there are a lot of centres out there these days, but me personally, I'd love to see that young Zach Laybutt kid just play every week. I think he's a very good young fellow. He's played 2 or 3 games now, and he hasn't even had a bad game ever since he's played for us. So I think develop the young Laybutt, get him in the team for next year, improve him up, and look, I think go out and buy another front row because I think we've got the back line. There's a lot of Origin players. We've got a lot of Origin back rowers and edge forwards and a couple of middle forwards as well. If we're going to buy anybody, I think we should buy another front rower.
Yeah.
To be honest. If Drake Granville moves on, if he retires, then we could use a 14. So then I'm looking at guys like Connor Watson, Mo Zambai. Don't know who else on the market, but yeah, it's a tough one. Cowboys got a lot of great depth up there, especially the young forwards.
I wonder if Granville actually will retire because if he stays injury free for the remainder of this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. Next year might be his last year, to be honest.
Well, personally, I think Granville's going too good to retire, so I would give him 1 more year, and then Granville retire at the end of next season, and then look for a Jersey 14 player. I'm sure there'll be a lot more on the market than what there currently is. I mean, if we need a 14, then yeah, maybe Connor Watson comes to mind. Mo Zembai's from Queensland, maybe him. Well, also with the rumours of the Gold Coast Titans getting Ben Hunt, maybe we can take Tanner Boyd as a 14. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I was also going to say to you, mate, with the Cowboys, what do you think of the signing of McIntyre?
Yeah, no, he's good. He made his debut against Penrith the other week, and he was very good for us. He played in the middle, played a bit of dummy half, played a little bit of lock forward as well. I thought he did a terrific job. He's more of a depth signing for us. He's not going to be in the team every week, but I was very impressed with his debut. I thought he was good.
I would actually have him on your bench for next year. If he has a good preseason, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get more consistent first grade. To be in my opinion.
Well, see, the only problem with that is I just don't even know where he's going to play, because you look at our best forward pack. You go Ruben Cotter in the front row with McLean. Robson plays hooker. Back row is Hilam Lukey and Nanai. Tamalolo plays lock. And then on the bench, you've got Cohen Hess. You've got Finney Fuliaki. You've got Luciano Leilua. And then you've got probably Jake Granville. And then you got guys like Jermaine Tanua-Brown, guys like then probably guys like Sam McIntyre. It's very tough to get in that 17.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tanua-Brown might leave you in not too long, mate. To be honest,
I wouldn't mind him leaving, but the reason why I don't think he will is because Todd Payton coached him at the Warriors when he was interim coach there. And then he brought him over to the Cowboys because Tanua-Brown followed him. I think
he went to the Dragons as well at one point. He played
I
2
remember that. Tanua-Brown's a bit of a teacher's pet towards Todd Payton, I think. So I don't see Tanua-Brown leaving anytime soon.
Same as Kieran Foran reuniting with his father at the Titans with Hasler again.
Yeah, makes sense, right? Yeah, not leaving anytime soon.
Manly went to the Bulldogs with him. Back to Manly.
It was at Para. He was at the Warriors. He's been at a few teams. Bulldogs.
Yeah. Well, now he's 4 times he's followed Hasler or something now. So
yeah, 4 times, yeah.
What do you think about that with the Gold Coast?
Des going to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Well, if Des Hasler can't get the Gold Coast going, then no one will, because I've had a few coaches over the years. I've had John Cartwright, Neil Henry, Justin Holbrook. I feel sorry for Justin Holbrook. I don't think he was treated fairly.
No, he wasn't.
I think Daz going up there is probably the best thing for him, to be honest.
It is, hopefully, but I feel for Holbrook. And surprisingly, there wasn't any rumours about it really. About Hasler going there. I don't know how they managed to keep it so quiet. I feel bad for Holbrook, and I think he'll get another job somewhere down the track. But
I don't think he'll have a problem getting another job. I think whoever gets sacked next, and I don't know who it will be, but his name will be in the ring for sure.
I think Hasler under the Titans roster should be a good combination, hopefully.
Problem is, the Gold Coast, they always seem to find a way to stuff things up. Like, they'll go out, they'll do something good, and come game day or come expectation, they just seem to always be a letdown, because every time the Gold Coast are expected to do something, they just go backwards. It just happens every time.
Yeah, I think if they can't pull themselves together in the next two years, I think it should be a serious conversation to kick them out, to be honest.
Well, they won't get kicked out. They've got too much money involved, and the Gold Coast is a very nice area. But yeah, they're a club that's you can't trust them. Like, you can't give me a prediction and say they're going to be top 4 in 2 years, because it just won't happen. It never does.
The other question I've got for you, mate, is what is your honest opinion with the Super League this year? Like, have you
Super
been,
League?
like, have you really, what would you rate the season from 1 to 10?
I'd give it at least an 8 out of 10, bro. It's been a good season. I've really enjoyed it. Still a fair way to go in the season, but I'm just going to have a look at the ladder, man. It's been a crazy season because
Yep.
St. Helens have won the last 4 grand finals, and they're only just inside the top 6. I mean,
I can't talk about Super League without adding a little addition to what I'm wearing.
the wire. Well,
I think we're in second, aren't we? Why?
User in second. Now I'm just having a look at it. Catalans are first, Warrington second, Wigan and League in third and fourth, Salford fifth, and then Saints in sixth. St. Helens have won the last 4 grand finals, so for them to be 6 is crazy because the finals is the top 6. But
Yeah.
St. Helens are going to be the team to beat, no matter what. Like they are the juggernaut team. But your boys, Warrington, definitely a chance this year, but they've lost a few games recently, losing to
Yeah, Castleford losing to them pissed me off.
Castleford are second last.
Yeah. Oh, that really pissed me off, that loss.
You shouldn't be losing to them.
No. But you know what? I'm happy with our season. This is my first year fully watching pretty much all the games. Like last year I only probably watched 10 games. So
Yeah.
I really got into it, and I honestly thought that Power wouldn't be there at this point in the season. I probably would have had us lower on the ladder, but I've been really quite impressed with our buys, except Maguire. Except him, I've been impressed.
George Williams has been great.
He's been terrific.
Always is. Yeah. Now it's going to be interesting to see how they finish up Warrington. I think they'll be in the final somewhere. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do go.
Yeah, I'm sure St. Helens will be most likely in the grand final somehow again.
They're just so hard to beat.
But I wouldn't put up past us to get very close to the grand final. I'd put us close. I'm not sure if we've got the exact energy to do it, but I think we'll be close.
You'd be a chance.
Because I mean, with our roster, it's a better roster than it was last year.
Paul Vaughan's had a big. Is it been great for Warrington?
Yeah, barbecue guy. Been really impressed with him.
The barbecue man.
I don't know if he'd appreciate being called that, but
probably not.
I don't really care. So, I remember that was it the first game he played after all of that. The Dragons, people were wearing the barbecue shirt. Someone had made these, photoshopped the photo of his face on some dad, on one of those Father's Day barbecue shirts, and had him at the game. But yeah, I mean, he's been really good. I think Dufty's been good.
Yeah, it's been a good year for Warrington, and we'll see how they finish up.
And I think Salford has been not that bad. I think
Salford have been good as well. Yeah. Now we're in fifth.
With Lafayette, I think hopefully when Lafayette gets kicking off again, you'll be better off. I'm really like.
We're 1 game behind you fellas at the moment. We're just behind you. So, Tim Lafayette did return on the weekend. He had a strong game.
I'm been a big fan of him for quite a long time, and I'm really disappointed the Dragons didn't try to keep on to him longer. Yeah. I hope at some point he may return here.
I think he will. He's got a lot of talent.
Who's another player you would like to see back in the NRL from the Super League?
Well, I think Paul Vaughan was one of them. I think he'd do a really good job back over here. I wouldn't mind seeing Mitchell Pearce come back, but I can't see it happening. Bevan French is another one. Bevan French. I'd love to see Bevan French come back to the NRL. I think he'd be a great signing for any team, really, if they need a fullback or a winger. Even Jai Field, I know he was a Dragons junior. Jai Fields is a freak.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remember this guy, mate, from the Bulldogs. Reece Martin plays for
Yeah,
Leeds.
yeah.
He's
Yeah, I
a
remember him. Yeah, I remember him.
He's a hell of a player, bro. I'd be getting him back over here somewhere.
I'd also consider George Tafua to be another consideration.
No, I don't think so. I think he's too old now.
I'd give him one more chance. I still think that at the NRL level, I wouldn't mind him personally.
Yeah, okay.
I would like the Dragons to get Cassiato. I think he's
Big Sam Cassidy.
would be a good, probably only on a 1-year deal for probably next year. As a big impact player off the bench, I wouldn't mind him personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
All right, well, I got to wrap this up, mate. I've got to get back to stupid paperwork for touring. I had to fill out 40 papers before 7 o'clock tonight. So, yippee for me. I'm on tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to it. It's just a lot more work behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, mate, thanks for having me on the channel, bro, and I'll see you next time.
Yep, all right. Thanks, mate.
No worries.